Good. Appreciate everybody being here today. Hope everybody had a good summer. All our players reported back today. A lot of excitement in this building and just excitement to get started. We spoke a lot about it in SEC Media Days, but the ability to go back to 85 scholarships, opportunity to compete, go to a bowl game in the postseason, and what we've done in the offseason with our staff and how hard the guys have worked all summer, changing their bodies, getting ready to go, getting acclimated to a new defense, new offense, but just very excited, and you can feel the energy in the building and the looks on the kids' faces. A lot of youth in here. There's going to be a lot of competition, but just really excited for this month of August to really build and mold this team. So excited, ready to get started. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll bring the mic to you. Who's the starter?
Coach, how much of this fall camp is going to be about building confidence and the mental side of football rather than the physical side, you think?
Yeah, I think it will be big just from the experience standpoint. But I think it starts with guy when building this team being an unselfish team, trying to be mentally and physically tough, and then being in great shape. I think that's huge. I think that's very, very important. But being in great shape and being a disciplined football team, being young and somewhat inexperienced, especially on offense, I think that'll be very important.
Matt, earlier this week you guys announced Alex Givens would be somewhat limited, and then Darius Thomas will not be practicing tomorrow. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about particularly Alex and what the prognosis is, how soon you guys are hoping that he will be back, and things like that?
Yeah, so Alex had a lower back injury kind of late June. And we looked at a bunch of different options, and we went ahead and had the surgery. That was the quickest way to get him back. We're still hopeful he's going to play against Memphis. We'll be limited some through camp, but then we'll be able to start running, and then hopefully the week of the game start getting back and getting ready to go. Then as far as Darius, he had a heart condition. We're going to reevaluate him in September, but he's going to be here in the 110, and we're hopeful, again, that he's going to be able to play toward the end of the season.
Matt, what about the rest of the injuries? We went a bunch of guys in green in the spring, and maybe just
those two are the two big ones that will be limited early. Just looking at the sheet, Alex Faneuil is going to be a little bit limited. He had a stomach issue here over the last week. Luke Knox has a hamstring, so he'll be a little bit limited early on. And then Custis, just coming back from his knee injury, just not 100% there yet. He will be out there and be going, but I think mentally he's got to turn the corner. But he'll be, I think probably week 2 he'll be full go. Jalen's fine. Yep.
With Alex and Darius kind of limited, who are you kind of looking to step up at tackle this fall?
Right. It's going to start with Bryce Matthews and Michael Howard. Very pleased with Michael this summer. Put on 20 pounds and looks great. He's in that 285 range, so very, very excited about that. And you always have Royce. If a guard steps up, Royce will have the ability to move out. And then I think we have 2 young freshmen that I'm really excited about. I think you reserve judgment until out there at practice, but with the numbers the way they are and us signing so many young players, some of those guys will have to step in and provide depth.
Which freshman in particular?
I think Nick Broker, Jeremy James. Nick has kind of separated himself in some of the conditioning stuff and his mentality, but I think Jeremy is a very talented kid too that can play out there. And then I think Royce is kind of that wild card that he's playing guard. If we have another guard step up, he can always move out. And then Bryce has been around and Michael's been around. Those guys are even though they haven't played a ton, they've been around a bunch, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
How do you go about getting those young freshman linemen just physically ready to play SEC football?
It's tough. I think it's probably the hardest position because of, number one, the guys you're playing against in this league, but also how much stuff happens in front of you and happens very quickly. But I think both of those young men are very, very smart. They're intelligent, and they can handle it. It's just going out there and doing it and building that confidence.
Yeah, the coaches, Coach Rodriguez was talking about how sometimes, the thing you don't know with freshmen is how they're going to do that first time they're out there. And obviously the Memphis game is very important for y'all. Are there any tricks? Are there any things you're going to try to simulate how they might act out there and to get that crazy moment out of the way? Like, what's that like?
Well, I think it is tough to go out there and play underneath the lights, but you simulate it as much as you can in practice. Out there in the scrimmages, they're going to be playing against some really good D linemen in practice and in those scrimmages. And so you throw them out there and you step back, get the coaches off the field. You don't tell them what to do, and you go out there and you put them in as many of those situations in those scrimmages as you can. And that's as close to the game as you can get. So I think simulating it, with one-on-one pass rush, putting them out there in the scrimmages in the stadium, I think that'll be very important for the young guys.
Is it daunting to think that you're just 30 days away right now from the opener, or do you feel like you're on track?
No, I'm excited. I'm thrilled, and we have all these young guys, but we have bodies. It'll be the first time, being back at that 85 scholarship number. Just excited to have those bodies. There's going to be competition at every single position, and that's why those young guys came here. They came here for that opportunity to play. And we've had some success with guys playing as freshmen. Laramie and Greg and Javon and all those guys we have played as freshmen before. So I think we can get those guys ready. It is a challenge, especially in this league, though.
You mentioned a couple of those freshman linemen having to get ready to play. How much of the loss of Alex is just the presence out there and helping some of the younger guys through the things that kind of come up when you're getting adjusted?
Right,
to SEC?
and that's the good thing about Alex. He'll still be able to be out there and with that leadership role. But I think anytime experience is the best teacher, and the only way that you can go out there and get better is to go play and get thrown out there. And that's what's going to happen to him pretty quickly.
Matt, you've mentioned confidence with these guys defensively. Is it difficult to gain confidence when the struggles have been so glaring the last couple of years?
Well, I think it is important. I think they experienced some of that success in the spring, and you started to see that confidence build, not only in themselves, but in Coach McIntyre and what he brings to the table. And so I think it all works together. That's what this month is for, is to build that cohesive unit. Not only offense, defense, special teams, but as a team, everybody coming together. And I think it all works together. But I did see that confidence start to build toward the end of the spring, and then over the summer, I think it will continue to build.
On the offensive line, you got 3 redshirt juniors that are going to be starters, looks like. Is it an advantage that they've reached this point in their career without a start among them? Kind of slow to come to this role, or how does that impact them in this transition?
I think it probably speaks to more of how the talent that was in front of them and how good those guys were and the experience that they did have in front of them. And I think having that experience is a good thing for sure.
Matt, I asked Rich Rodriguez about during his career, had he ever have a quarterback room where they're all freshmen? Coming into the season, it doesn't feel quite like Matt Corral's a freshman, but what's some advantages or disadvantages of that situation?
Well, I think Rich will tell you they don't have any bad habits yet, so you get a chance to set them. But I think Matt playing in those 4 games is definitely a big help for sure. But it's a challenge having freshmen. But I think they'll all be competing against each other, and I think Rich has done a good job in the past of getting those guys ready to play, and I'm excited to see it when we put on the pads for sure.
Matt, any of us that ever played, there was always a guy older that was a leader, whether it was offense or defense. Everybody kind of looked to him when times got tough. You know who those guys are yet?
You know what? I think when we made Austrian the Chucky Mullins Award winner, I think that made a statement, because he is that blue-collar, hard-nosed. When he stands up and talks, people listen. So I think for sure he's one of those guys. And I think Matt Corral got thrown into a little bit of that role because of the position and him stepping in there. And you've seen him kind of take that on over the summer. But, those 2 guys kind of stand out to me as guys. And then obviously Alex Givens. He's just because he's been there, he's been in the wars, and, he's a leader for us.
Coach, do you feel like you can rely on your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators so much more so this year with the wealth of experience that they've had?
Yeah, absolutely. The off-season additions of Mike and Rich, everybody has talked about it. But for me, my job is to go hire the best people, and that's what I did. And the fact that they do have so much experience, if I do leave and go to SEC Media Day, or I do have to go to a speaking engagement at the Neshoba County Fair today, I feel very comfortable that you have Mike and Rich here running their respective side of the ball. It is a good feeling.
Matt, is there a position or position group in particular where you expect the competition to be particularly tight this fall?
Yeah, I think the young spots, particularly offensive line and wide receiver, where we've had to sign so many young guys. Guys are hungry. They want to come in and prove themselves. So I'm excited to see that. You don't ever want it to be that lack of experience, but you are excited to see the competition and then push themselves for playing time. So I'm excited to see those two battles for sure.
Matt, I want to ask you to comment on a position group that doesn't seem to be a depth issue, and that's the running backs. Looks like you've got a lot of great depth there, maybe some of it unproven, but you've got a lot of experience there as well.
No, I'm excited. Scotty, this time last year, I think I used the word cautiously optimistic. You saw what he was able to do in spring, and I think he kind of showed that throughout last season. But I think Isaiah has really stepped up. Then you got some young kids in there with Snoop Connor, and then obviously Jerry Neely can do so many different things with his speed. We'll have to find a way to get several of those guys on the field when whether it's two backs or using some running backs in the slot and speed sweeps. There's going to be a lot of things that we can do with those guys that will present issues to defenses.
Do you even look at Tylen as a running back anymore, or is he just a receiver now?
Well, again, I think he can do a lot of different things. He can play running back. We can line him up in the backfield, but he can also go out there and play receiver. And you saw we were able to utilize him some in the spring game, especially kind of stood out, and a lot of people were talking about him. But he's a football player. He's 6A Player of the Year in Mississippi, MVP of the Miss Al game, and I think he will continue to have a role. And he's just got that competitive spirit that you like to see.
At least from afar, you probably saw Ken Webster's recovery from that injury in 16 to 17. Have you noticed any similarities between he and Jalen Jones's recovery, and what have you seen from Jalen?
It's just so hard, just because every individual is different. Even with Custis and Jalen, you see that right now. But Jalen's worked really hard. He's a great kid. He's very, very intelligent, and he is a leader as well. So just excited to see him. I think physically he's healthy. He's got to go over and get over that mental hump, making that first cut, defending that first deep ball, changing directions full speed for the first time. And I think you'll see him progress through fall camp, but excited to see what he's going to do.
Coach, how do you see the two safety slots shaking out? In spring, didn't seem like much was solidified there, or maybe I'm wrong.
I was very there's going to be a lot of competition there, but I was very pleased with Jonathan Haynes, especially coming in new from junior college. He showed the physicality that it takes, and then I really like the addition of moving Jalen Julius back there, because a lot of people are playing the 11 personnel and running the slots on fades, and that's a tough matchup for a big safety, and he can cover there, so it gives you a little bit more freedom to do some things. But I am excited. You'll see C.J. Miller and Vernon Dasher and Custis and all those guys battle it out. There'll be a lot of competition at the safety position.
We'll take questions up top. Coach, just looking at the matchup against Memphis, what do you see for this as an opportunity, against such a high-powered offense, to show for your defense, especially after last year?
Yeah, it's a huge game. It's a big game for us, especially with all the young players that we have going into it. Memphis is a great football team. They've done a really good job, but it'll be a challenge. They give you a lot of different formations, a lot of unbalance, a lot of different looks to try to get you out of a gap. So we'll have to be sound, and it'll be a huge challenge. But I think having a team like that to get prepared for helps you. I think it helps you with your sense of urgency and getting ready to go right out of the gate.
And on their offensive side, obviously, with losing Darrell Henderson, losing Tony Pollard, they still have a running back there and Patrick Taylor, but. How do you approach that when they had been so run heavy last year? Maybe trying to figure out what they're going to be this year. Maybe.
I mean, it probably is a little bit of a cliche, but you always start trying to stop the run. That's any defense that you've ever been around. You start out trying to stop the run, and it'll certainly be a challenge with all the different looks that they present to you.
Matt, defensively, you've got junior college players, several coming in there. Do you expect to have to play as many freshmen on that side?
We'll see. I think you always want to reserve your opinion of the freshmen until after they get out there in full pads. But I think Sam Williams and Jonathan Haynes both showed some flashes, and I'm anxious to see what Lakia will do. When he gets out there, we put pads on. So when you sign a junior college player, you're signing an older guy, and you're expecting them to come in there and contribute. And so that's what we're hopeful that those three guys can do that.
Any more questions up top? Coach, just sticking with Memphis, could you just speak to the excitement around that regional rivalry there? I know Memphis is a place that it's very, getting up easily to play Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's a huge game just because of the distance apart, only being an hour apart. It's a huge game. I think we have a huge fan base in Memphis, and there, and all the recruiting that goes on in this area. So I do think for our fans, we'll have a great crowd there, and it's a big game for a lot of different reasons, but obviously the locale and the local rivalry makes it big.